Alrighty, here we are. Here we are. What's up, everybody? What's up? I need to fix this widget. No, that ain't it. What's up, everybody? We about to get started here in a second. Give me a sec. Give me just 1 second. Nope, that ain't what I wanted. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's gonna be a good live stream. We're gonna help people build wealth this year with this live stream. This is gonna be a banger, I think. Yo, what's up? What's up, Tati? I'm trying to see how I edit this shit, man. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Headquarters in Nashville? Probably not, man. Probably not. Not because I don't want to. I just... busy, busy, busy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it just black and see if I can do a white background real quick. Yeah, I'm going to do a white background probably. Guys, bear with me real quick. Yeah, I think that looks good. All right, I think I fixed it. Yeah. Just make sure before we get... yeah, that looks better. Sorry, guys. I probably should have been done this, but... yeah, that looks good. That looks pro. I ain't mad at that. All right, guys. So today we are going to be working on building wealth. So I created a little course for you guys. It's pretty extensive, I think. And to be honest with you guys, a lot of this is going to be a refresher for me as well. And I'll give you guys a link to this course for free. I'll probably end up linking it in the videos below once I clip this live stream. So this is my live stream channel. If you're watching the clips, head over to my live stream channel. This is what it looks like right here. Just go to BossioLIVE, versus what you're probably on is my Chris Bossio channel. If you don't know where to find my live streams, I had to move it over to this channel for the YouTube algorithm to give me some respect. So with that being said, man, let's start with module 1. And I want to talk about something that's super, super overlooked and underrated. And that is why your job or your business is the real money printer if you want real wealth, right? And so here's a small quote right here. You don't get rich from investing small checks. You get rich by earning more, keeping more, and then investing larger amounts consistently, okay? And the reason why I bring this up is because we're constantly taught that, you know, in the way to build wealth is to cut out coffee, cut out expenses, live way below your means, pay cash for everything, and in 50 years you'll be wealthy, right? Because let's say you're the average American. Let's see what the average American makes per year. Let's check this out. Let's do median income. Median individual income in America. And guys, throughout this, if you have questions, I'm going to be checking the chat every now and then in between little breaks, and I'll answer as many questions as I can as we go through this. And if you think this is something that will help your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers, I would share this with them. That way people in your world get exposure to this. Because the more people doing this that you know, the better it is, man. A rising tide raises all ships. And this is part of why I've been successful, is because my entire team is on it, man. We're constantly talking about growth, whether that's financial, whether that's marriage, whether that's health, whether that's worship. We're constantly talking growth. So it's important to share these nuggets with these opportunities with your friends and family. All right. So, and then smash the like for the algorithm if you can. So it says that the average full-time worker, the median full-time worker in 2022, I'm sorry, in 2022 was $60,000 a year. Okay. Let's see if they have something for 2024 or 2025. Because obviously inflation, there's been a little bit of pay raises and stuff. I know barbers especially been raising the hell out of their prices. All right, so it's about 62,000 is the number. All right, that's the median. Wait, I lied. No, the median income for 2023, personal income was 42,000 in America. Where's this 62,000 come from? Oh, this is so only full time. If we're just using the full time wage, it's 62,000. So we're not going to include part timers. We're just going to do full time wage. The median income is 62,000 a year. All right. So 62,000 a year is approximately, what is that? 5,000 a month, right? So let's do the math on that. So let's assume you're the average person at 5,000 a month. You know, most people can't really invest with this type of money. And even if you could invest with 5,000 a month, what would it be? Let's just say it's $500 a month. Okay. So let's look at these numbers. Let's say you had $20,000 saved. Okay. And that's what your initial investment. And every month you were going to invest $500 a month. And let's see what this looks like in 20 years. All right. And let's say that your estimated interest rate, your return is going to be 10% because we're just doing the S&P 500, the QQQ, and we're going to go with those, right? Let's see what this comes out to. So in 20 years, you would have gained $478,000, okay? Now, what if we just focused on our main thing? And we didn't start investing. We didn't do none of that crap, man. We just focused on this. Right? And the reason why we start here, guys, again, if I show you guys this, is because your income source is the real money printer. Investing $100 a month isn't going to change your life, but increasing your income, let's say by $2,000 a month, will. That's fuel for serious investing. And so think about it. What would it take for you to go from 5,000 to 6,000? The best, the smartest people, the people who build wealth, what they do is they add value. They don't work with what they have and try to make the most of it. They put in the work so that they could have more, so that they can invest what's left. So if they want something, they go get it, right? So let's say you have a dream car that you want. A wealthy person isn't just going to take from their savings account. They're going to say, yo, this season, I'm going to put in the work to earn that vehicle, right? So if you want to start investing and you want to do it where you can enjoy the journey, we got to go from 5K to 6K so we can invest 1,500 a month. So we can invest 1,500 a month. What does this scenario look like? And so let's go to the calculator and let's see what doing 1,500 a month versus that 500. Let's see how that changes things. Remember, it was 478,000 before. Let's calculate that number. Look at the difference. And for some of you guys, it's as simple as asking for a raise. Whether that's raising your prices because you're self-employed, like a barber, or you work a W-2 and you want a raise, or it might mean you got to leave where you work at currently and go find a place that's willing to pay you more. So we have to start here because this is the lowest hanging fruit to building wealth now, even if you want to start investing in stocks. That's why I tell people you got no business looking at stocks if you don't have the margin to be able to invest real money. Where every single financial advisor, the Dave Ramseys of the world, all that stuff, they're going to tell you, oh, cut your costs, boom, 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 just invest 10% of what you have. Well, 10% of 5,000 is only $500. Man, you're going to be working your whole life. This number needs to go down from 20. It needs to go up to 40 to be able to retire. Let's go to 30. Let's go to 30. So at 30, you could have 1.3 million in 30 years if you stick to that $500 a month of investing. But guys, just put in some work and you might be able to cut that down. Because at 1,500, let's go to 15 years instead of 30. That's 655,000. But we know at 20, that's 1 point something million, right? But what if we can get this number to 4,000 a month? I know that sounds crazy right now. But what if we can get that to 4,000? Look at what happens to this number, right? And so what I would challenge you guys to do is to look at what is the main thing you're doing now and how can you increase. Here's just some data behind this, okay? Here's just some data behind this. 10%, the top 10% of earners own 93% of all US stocks. So what I challenge you to do is what profession are you in and what do the top 10% of earners make in that profession? And let's make that your target. And do everything in your power to get there. Spend all your time, your resources, instead of doing research on companies and day trading and wholesaling houses and drop shipping and this and that and this. Spend all your time trying to become a 10% earner in your field. And if your field doesn't have a high top 10%, you probably need a new field. You probably need a new profession. That's my recommendation. Because the bottom 50% of earners hold virtually no assets. They have no wealth because they don't have the surplus income to invest consistently. And that's part of the problem. If you don't have the surplus income, then you're not going to be able to stay in the market. I don't know if you guys have heard the term. It's better to stay in the market than time the market. The problem is a lot of you guys don't have the surplus income. So anytime you have a flat tire, you have a vacation you want to take, you got a tax bill you got to pay, you have to sell all your stocks. And you can't build wealth that way. So here's some tips, okay? If you have a W-2 job, all right, job hopping versus staying put, here's the numbers. So seeking a job somewhere else, the annual raise is 6.9% on average versus 4.5% if you stay put at the company that you're in. This is from ADP, okay? I'm not saying go leave your job. First, try to get a raise, but always be shopping, all right? Salary negotiation. This is part of the main statistics why they say women earn less than men. They're less likely to negotiate. And they say that the difference between someone who negotiates a salary versus another could be over $1 million over your career. $1 million invested, I don't care if you suck at investing, it's a game changer. Okay? And so the action step that I would take is I would go learn how to negotiate salaries. Go look at YouTube content. This is a salary negotiation checklist that you can check out as well. You can Google this. You can chat GPT this stuff. The whole point is just to put effort towards it. Now, if you're self-employed, 64 million Americans freelance in 2023. Over 1.27 trillion in revenue was created on Upwork. So maybe you have a job that you love and you don't want to leave, but and they're not really increasing your income, or they do increase your income and you're like, yo, I have another skill set. Now we can go look at a side hustle. You can side hustle on Upwork, side hustle on some. I know realtors that are very successful at what they do, but they're gonna drive around anyway, so they Uber. And when they Uber, they hand out a business card every time because they're meeting new people in the area and they let them know that they're realtors. There's a lot of different ways to create some supplemental income through freelance work. Okay? So whatever your skill sets may be, maybe you're good at building websites. Maybe you're great at Excel spreadsheet, right? Package your offers. Don't bill hourly, right? Make sure you're using automation tools to make your thing easy, right? And try to make some money on the side. And if you need some ideas, you can use tools like Hustlemaker AI, hustlemaker.ai, to give you ideas of side hustles if you want to, okay? But for example, if you're already self-employed, like you're a barber or a hairstylist or a massage therapist, you just need to lock in on that and make that the most powerful thing that you can. Guys, one of the things that I do, if you're new to my channel, is I mentor barbers. Okay, that's one of my main things. I know barbers that make $250,000 a year behind the chair. But I also know barbers that barely can buy their next meal. And then I know barbers who are totally happy making $70K and they're trying to do side hustles, not realizing if they just focus on the main thing, they wouldn't need to do a side hustle. They'd be at 120, 150, 200,000 a year just focusing on the main thing. Then they can go do side hustles if they want. Okay? And then if you own a business, man, one of the biggest hacks for you is paid ads. Same thing for self-employed individuals. This is a great hack as well. Paid ads. And I'll show you what I mean right now, actually. So like, look at this. This is my barbershop's ads, all right? I am spending, let me see if I can find it. On this ad, $5. Each of these bookings is a haircut that costs $30. So you're telling me that I can get a 6x return every $5 that I put into this ad? Why would I put my money into the stock market? Oh, wait a second. You're telling me I can spend $3.35 to get a $30 haircut? Why? That's a 9x return. Why would I go spend money on ads? What I would do is I would pour my money into this because your business is the main stock you should be investing in. Your business is the main stock you should be investing in. And so if you can put in $5 into the machine and it spits out $30, you better max that out. You better max that out. And I don't just do it that for this. Look at another company that I do that for. Before I started investing in stocks, I was investing in my own companies, in my own stock. So I spent $15,000 in the last month, in the last 30 days on these ads, and it printed. Take a look at this. What's $183? Let's do the math. 183 times 388, $71,000. So I was able to spend $15K and earn $71,000. Why wouldn't I just do this? That's one company. Let me show you another company that I do this with.
This one I spent $4,000, okay? And I was able to create 3.5x that $4,000. So I turned $4,000 into what? $13,000. And that's because we're low on inventory. But I can guarantee you, if I look at last month, I spent 13 to make, what is this? 13,000 to make, what is 481 times 173? That's $83,000. I spent $14K to make $83,000. So the point is, whoops, wrong screen. The point is, your main business, your main job, your main gig is the first stock you should be investing in, because that is going to be what powers. That's the real money printer that's going to power your wealth building as we start looking to diversify and start to make our money work for us. Okay? That's where people, they miss out on. So I highly recommend you invest in yourself. Yeah, so one of my ads looks like this. And if you're a barber and you want mentorship, check out 6FB. 6FB. That's my mentorship program for barbers. Maybe one day I'll do it for businesses as well, just for general businesses as well. But I will tell you this, I have an accounting firm called pieaccounting.com, and that's for any business owner, anyone who's self-employed who needs help with their accounting. And then we do some budgeting and some strategy in there as well. I might just make the course available for Pie Accounting clients. Okay, let me show you guys what some of these ads might look like. So for my barbers, I'll show you a barber ad. And if you're a massage therapist, if you're a hairstylist, whatever you do, if you're a freelance worker, you can do the same exact thing, okay? So what I would do is I would create a campaign, all right? So these are my 2 campaigns that are on right now. In those campaigns, you'll have different ad sets, and these ad sets are going to be based on whatever you want it to be. So I usually use the same creatives in every ad set, but then I'll test a different audience or different demographics, right? So each ad set might be different in that way. So there's 2 ad sets that are on right now. These are the ads that are in those ad sets. What I recommend is put as many ads, as many creatives as possible. So this is one creative, for example, as you can see here. It's just a picture with a white background. But then here's another creative. Whoops. And it's an actual full-on video.
What's up, man? What is your name and how'd you find out about us?
My name's Nate, dude.
Okay. You never know which one's going to work. Some people would say this ad right here, come on, there we go, is fire.
Hey, Brandon Riverview, are you sick of constantly trying to find a new barber?
But guess what? This ad, where is it? This ad is smoking that one. This ad is just a plain easy picture and it's performing way better. But this one is performing the best. This video right here, this consulting video. But the other video isn't performing. So this one's performing the best. This one isn't performing that good. This one's performing the second best. You never know which ones are going to perform. You need to let Meta's algorithm test all of it. And so they'll decide where they're going to spend the most money, right? And which one's going to perform the best. And if you don't know how to do this stuff, right? That's okay. If you join 6FB, look at this. There's a course on scaling Meta ads, and there's a course on scaling Google ads. All right. And maybe in the future, I'll teach general businesses how to do it, but YouTube it. You know, the only thing is that for barbers, there's not going to be anything on YouTube that'll help you, because you need a software that's going to allow you to install a pixel. And there's like no booking apps that allow you to install a pixel. So I give you the software for free included with 6FB that will allow you to install the pixel so you can run ads. All right. But that's off subject. Okay. So besides that, right? Like that's just ads. There's also marketing, there's flyers, there's opening new sales channels. That's creating systems and automations. That's creating new offers, right, to the same customers or reaching a broader audience. There's so many levers that you can pull, guys, in order to increase your business, whether you're self-employed or you're a business owner or you're an employee that's starting a side hustle. And one of the best ways that you can this is a great feature, right? This is a great tool right here. I took acquisition.com's workshop. I spent like between me and my team that we all went out and checked out. I spent 20 grand on this. But you can get a free scaling roadmap from their website at acquisitions.com, right? Just look for go to acquisitions.com/roadmap and plug in your business's information, and it'll give you a plan to scale your business. The actual workshop that I spent money on is for anyone who makes $1 million or more a year. So I don't recommend that, but I do recommend if you're getting started, you check out this roadmap, this free tool right here. Okay. Once you scale and you're making $1 million a year, then I would go take the actual workshop because it's dope. It's worth it. And I'd probably bring some, whoever is on your leadership team to go as well. Okay. And so we've already kind of walked through how it multiplies your income, but imagine whatever that number is. Let's just say it's, I don't know, let's say you are a massage therapist. What do the top 10% of income earners in massage therapy earn? And let's see what that number is. Now, a lot of people don't file their taxes. So this information is going to be lower than the reality, than the truth. Most of the time it is. If you're self-employed, if you're in a profession that's a W-2, then it's probably going to be accurate. Okay. But you can see here that the top percent of massage therapists earn over $100,000 annually. So if you're not there, that needs to be your goal. I would put it as look, this is my actual background on my phone, my wallpaper, and I put what my focus is. So in this particular thing, I'm focused on my wet line products, my clippers, and my barbershops. What is your focus? Top 10% income earner. What's the number? Put it down. That way you see it and you're reminded. And it's gonna it's gonna hold you accountable, because every time you open your phone, it's gonna make you feel like, damn, here I go. I'm going to Tetris instead of what it looks like on my wallpaper. Hopefully it that helps you, right? So here's some factors that influence the top earnings. Several factors, right? Experience and specialization. So therapists with extensive experience or specialized skills, like this is breaking down through ChatGPT what sets you apart from the rest. And it might be off by a little bit, but you should know. You should know what it's going to take. And if you don't, you need to ask your employer. You should probably speak to someone that you know is earning over 100K, see if they'll mentor you. Do whatever it takes to increase that income, man. This has to be your main focus, okay? And so the summary for this lesson is, if you're an employee, you need to grow your skills, whatever it's going to take to be able to get a raise. You need to learn how to negotiate. Go watch YouTube videos. Go learn. Ask mentors how they negotiate. And if you've maximized your opportunity with your employer, you might need to go find a job at another employer. Okay. If you're a freelancer, if you're trying to create a side hustle, or you're a freelancer, package your skill sets up, raise your rates, try to create automations and systems to be a freelancer. If you're self-employed, you need to maximize the hell out of your business. A lot of you guys are self-employed and you don't do barely any marketing. 100 cards handed out a year is not enough. You got to do thousands of cards. And you need to make sure that your service is the best damn service you've ever given, or your product is the best product you've ever given. Treat it like it is your golden ticket, because it is. And then my business owners, you got to learn how to scale your business. You need systems. You need you need to help your team, whether that's develop them or add or hire people, delegate work. You can't do it all yourself. Learn how to run ads, learn some new marketing skill sets, and whatever you can, man, to create the systems and the automations to make your business even flow even better. That's what you got to do. So the number one step, once again, if you don't get it already, is your job or your business is the real money maker. Treat it like it. Focus everything you can on it. Okay? So that was module 1. I hope that was helpful to you guys. Let me see if there's any questions in here in the chat. And honestly, not trying to be cutting hair full time within the next 5 years. Yeah, it's more than doable. I haven't cut hair behind the chair in 5 years through my investments. And it's not just the stock market. Like I said, I have a portfolio of businesses that do 8 figures a year. I started with my own stocks first. And I'm not saying you guys should do that. Most people cannot manage 5 different businesses. I have a huge team, and it just worked out for me. God is good. Shout out to God, because he sent the right people to me, man. I got a hell of a team between my entire team. It's just amazing how they hold it down. And I don't do much of anything anymore because they are amazing. And that's the reason why I've been able to develop a portfolio that's that good. But it took 15 years for me to get there. If some of you guys are young and you don't want to run that many businesses, you don't even know how to get started, and you don't need to. Just focus on one thing, because I could literally step away from the chair just from my barbershops and my investing and my stock investing. That's it. I do not have to work another day behind the chair if I don't want to, just from the business that I started 12 years ago and investing in real estate and the stock market. That's all you need. That's all you need. Now, if you want to get to 8 figures a year, you really got to scale businesses and do more. But for a better lifestyle, if what you're looking for is a good life, a righteous one, you want to have time with your family, you don't want money to be an issue anymore, you want to have core memories, you want to be able to live in the moment more, you don't want to trade time for money anymore. If that's what you want, you don't need a shit ton of businesses. You need to focus on one thing and then let your money work for you. And we're about to start breaking down how to get to that in these later steps, okay? Dub, can we see? Okay, so I answered that with the whole ads and stuff. And what's up, Don? Nice to see you in here, bro. All right, cool. So that was the first lesson. Hopefully, by now you guys get it. I've kind of burned a hole into your ear already. All right, you guys ready for the next step? Y'all ready for the next module? I need some likes, man. I need some thumbs up. I need some likes. I need some help with the algorithm. Get some fire emojis or something. All right, here we go. Hold on. Stock market has been great. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Trump had me scared, boy. He had me scared. I'm still treading lightly, but I was real scared. That boy was destroying the market. I said, man, what did we do, man? We put the wrong. All right, we're doing great. All right, cool. We got the fire emojis. Let's get started. All right, so this is module 2. This is a big one. Pay yourself first and set it on autopilot. This is with everything. This is with your credit cards, your expenses, but it's also with, and should be prioritized with, paying yourself first. Okay? So automate your investing flow from your income stream. Once you've increased your income from module 1, it's time to turn that extra income into consistent wealth. Key is consistent wealth. Okay? Time in the market beats timing the market. So this module shows you how to set up a simple, automated system that makes investing happen without thinking about it, okay? So choose your number, which is the weekly transfer that you're going to commit to. All right. Full transparency. I will show you my weekly number right now. Fidelity. I don't want to show you guys my login, but I will show you my weekly number. Hold on. Actually, I'll show it to you guys on my phone. Even better. Because Don, I remember you saying you want to learn how to do it on your phone. So let's do that. Okay. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Yeah, there we go. All right. So if you look at this is the Fidelity app. I love Fidelity. I think it's a nice app. I like it better than Robinhood because they give you more margin and it's more for serious investors. Robinhood is good, don't get me wrong. Very intuitive, great company. I love the company. But for serious investors, I like Fidelity. Not just that, but your brokerage account, and you're going to see why this is important. The brokerage account in Fidelity, they give you 4.5% interest, all right? So if we go, that's good, Don. $250 a week is great start. So if we go to transact right here in the middle, and you go over to automate, you'll see what my recurring activity is. So transfers is I send 1,000 a week. I do 1,000 a week. So you guys can see that means 1,000 already came in yesterday. My next one's going to be May 19th, which is a week, 6 days from now. So 1,000 every week I put into the stock market. Now, out of that 1,000, 400 of it automatically gets invested between QQQ and VOO. QQQ is the NASDAQ. VOO is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. Okay, those are the indexes, and I'll teach you guys about what the indexes are if you don't know. In just a bit, we'll cover it lightly, but it's very simple. Okay, so that's what I do. I set those up right through here, and all you're gonna do is go to automate, and you'll create your recurring transfer. Once you have a recurring transfer and you have money in there, then you'll create a recurring investment, right? You can do that right through your phone. So with that being said, you have to pick something that's realistic, okay? If it's automatic, if it's not automatic, it's not consistent. I know how you guys are. We all are humans, and bro, it is way too easy, especially with social media and TikTok, as easy as it is to shop and take a vacation and all that. It's way too easy to not pay yourself first. So you have to automate it, okay? And if it's not consistent, it won't build wealth. Wealth is built through consistency, not motivation. I say this all the time. Discipline and consistency over motivation. And that's real in life, guys. With your marriage, you have to be consistent. It can't just be when there's fire. It can't just be when you're excited and you're motivated. It can't just be when you're at the peak of attractiveness, in your spouses. Guess what? Your wife is gonna have kids. Shit gonna change. But you guys have to constantly be consistently working on it, right? And I always like to use marriage as an analogy because usually, I think there's a statistic that the wealthiest people in America, if you look at if you look at married couples versus just cohabiting couples or single individuals, it's like 2 to 4x of a difference in wealth built in a lifetime. So that says a lot about consistency. So you got to pick a realistic, non-negotiable, that's key, non-negotiable weekly amount that you're going to invest. And remember, we said this is after you've done what's in module 1. So let's assume now that you're in module 2, let's assume you went from making 5K to 6K. When you were at 5K, you were investing 500. Well, guess what? At 6K, we are going to not have what's called lifestyle creep. We're going to keep our expenses the same, equal. And so that means if we went from 5K to 6K and we were doing 500 before, Now we have 1,500. Okay, and we know we can do that because we were doing just fine at 5K. This is realistic. If you can get to 7K, beautiful. Maybe you don't go to 2,500, or maybe you don't go to 2,500. Maybe you go to 2K, okay, and now you're living on 5,500 instead. So you've earned a better lifestyle. You can enjoy the journey a bit more. But now you got 2K a month that you can invest, which would be 500 weekly. Okay? So this is how I would do it. And every time you get a raise, I would adjust what's automated. Every time you increase your income, adjust your automated number, because that's going to buy you more life. What you do now is what you're going to earn later. So right now, Don, as an example, you're doing $250 a month. I don't know what you're making right now, but if we can get a raise, if we can earn more income, if we can increase that, then all of that should be going to your investing portfolio. And this is why I tell people all the time, man, adding this to your life is going to make you perform better, because you're going to have a light at the end of the tunnel. There's so many people that work their asses off and get burned out because they don't see any progress. They don't feel like they're doing it for anything besides more money in their bank account, but their lifestyle continues to increase. And at the end of the day, they get they don't feel a return. So that's how burnout ends up happening. But when you have this set up and you see your brokerage account growing, man, it's less likely that you're gonna burn out. Okay. And so whatever that number is, you need to document it, and we need to stay consistent. So 100, so 5,200 a week. These are the differences. So someone who goes from 100 a week to 500 a week, right? In 20 years at an 8% return, not even 10. Look at the difference. Look at the difference, guys. The difference between 100 a week and 500 a week would be $1 million in 20 years. Okay? Now, next step is we need to set up the brokerage account. I already showed you guys I like using Fidelity. The ones that I like are going to be Fidelity. Schwab is okay, but it's harder to get an options, like a margin account. And I'll break down what you need for that later. But I really like Fidelity. If you can't get Fidelity, I would say E-Trade might be a good one. E-Trade, Fidelity, Schwab, just anything that, and you can chat GPT whether something's good for options or not, because pretty soon we're going to want to start trading options. So you just want to make sure that whatever brokerage account company you're going with has the ability to get to level 3 options approval. This is the key right here. See this? Level 3 options approval. And so, like, I'll do it right now. Let's go. Brokerages that offer level 3 options. Fidelity is the one I like. You have Charles Schwab. TD Ameritrade got bought by Charles Schwab, so same thing. E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, Tasty Trade. So you can check these out for yourself and just choose one, okay? I've had no issues with Fidelity getting to level 3 options approval, okay? Because some of these are very strict. So like Charles Schwab, they did a phone call interview with me, and for whatever reason, they didn't approve me. But Fidelity, I just needed 20K in my account, and they approved it. All right, so I like Fidelity. And if you're going to continue to watch my content, you're going to see me trading on Fidelity. So hopefully that helps as far as that. And the reason why we need level 3 options approval is because we are going to be using a strategy called cash secured puts. They're going to be naked puts, pretty much. And we're also going to be selling we're also going to be doing covered calls. Okay. And so you're going to apply with stated investment experience, with income and net worth listed, and a margin account. Remember how I said in module 1, your income is important? We want that income to be as high as possible. Remember how we talked about well, we haven't talked about this yet, but your investment experience, obviously the higher it is, the more likely you are to be approved, okay? And the reason why is because we want a margin account. We're going to be using leverage. I believe in order to get wealthy in this lifetime, you can go from a 20 to 30 year plan to a 5 to 10 year plan by using leverage, especially if you're young and you have a lot of income, okay? I'm okay with using margin and using leverage if I have a high income and I live below my means. So to give you an example, somebody like Jordan, who lives on $4,000 a month, but he makes $20K a month, okay? If he's investing, if he's got margin in his brokerage account and he gets a margin call, he's going to be fine because he has the extra cash to be able to put the money into the account if he gets into any trouble. The people who do margin and don't have high income, those are the people who get in trouble. So that's why, again, we need to focus on module 1, increasing our income. I can't stress that enough. All right. Now, once you've done that and you have your options, you have your brokerage account, you have your options account, okay, we are turning our brokerage account into our savings account. That is your new savings account. And here's why. Most savings account are going to pay you anywhere from 1 to like 3%, maybe, on a high yield savings account. They're going to have restrictions and they're going to have less insurance, right? The stock market, especially the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, they are historically known to return anywhere from 10 to 15%, with the QQQ doing amazing, especially the last decade, okay? And then, not just that, but the brokerage account, the money that's not investing into stocks, is going to be collecting 4.5%. Okay. So you have to shift your mindset that your brokerage account becomes your new savings account. And what I like to do is if you have a business, I like to keep about 2 months worth of expenses in my business account. And in my personal account, for my personal expenses, I like to keep 2 months worth of personal expenses in that account. I don't do the 6 months to a year like everybody else, because the excess of my savings is going to live in my brokerage account anyways, which is you can liquidate. You get a debit card or a credit card as well. You get a debit card just like a money market or high yield savings account. It's treated the exact same. The insurance is better, and you're going to get a better interest rate on the money that's sitting in your brokerage account. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And so start depositing that money. So you might say, okay, I have my brokerage account in my high yield savings right now. Let's say your expenses is $4K a month, but you have $20K in your savings. I would keep $8,000 in there, and then $12K I would transfer to my new brokerage account, which is now going to collect 4.5%, and I would turn on my automation of whatever that number is that you said it would be. In the example of Don says he's doing $250 a week. So that's what we would do. Okay? And that's going to go in your brokerage account. Now, I highly recommend, if you have an accountant, you involve them, and they're going to help you stay in our IRS compliance, especially if you're self-employed or you're a business owner. Okay? The more hands-free this is, the more consistent it's going to become. But IRS compliance will also keep you out of trouble, and you'll have peace of mind. Okay? So once again, we're going to link our income account to our brokerage. We're going to schedule weekly or bi-weekly transfers. I like weekly. It doesn't hurt as much when it leaves your account, right? And I would have your accountant set it up, in payday or something. Whatever is the best way to pay the least amount of taxes, whether it's a distribution or it's in your payroll, they're going to be the experts that give you that information. If you're with pieaccounting.com, that's a company that I founded. They will definitely help you with that. Just reach out through Client Hub and ask them. Okay? Now, if you have a Roth IRA or solo 401k or SEP IRA, let me add the main one should be Roth. Roth IRA. Whoops. Okay. If you have any of these, you can do the same strategy in here. Okay. If you have, let's say, a Roth IRA with Fidelity, you can do the same strategy we're going to teach you in your Roth IRA. And I highly recommend you start here at the Roth and you max that out before you start using your brokerage account for taxable stocks, right? So if your Roth IRA is in Fidelity, okay, then your automations should go to your Roth first, right? And remember, I think it's 7K max that you can do into your Roth. So your automation should go to your Roth first. Let's say at the beginning of the year, you just max out your Roth, right? You put the 7K in. So let's say in this example, remember, we had 12K left over. We're going to take 7K, max out our Roth, and the money in here is going to be invested, right? Make sure it's invested in something, because if it's just sitting in your Roth, it's not going to be making any money. All right. So if it's in your Roth, let's say it's in the S&P and QQQ, and in a lot of in many brokerages, you can also trade options inside of your Roth, and the profits are tax-free inside of your Roth. Okay. So if you're maxing out your Roth, that 7K is subtracted from the 12, which means you have 5K left over for your brokerage account, for your taxable account. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys there. All right. Now, if you have any questions on this stuff, if you need an accountant, I highly recommend you go check out pieaccounting.com. Show you guys Pie. This is my company, and it sponsors my channel. Okay, pieaccounting.com if you need an accountant. So, in summary, I'm going to assume you've picked your weekly amount that you're going to pay yourself first with. You've opened and you've configured your brokerage. You've automated your wealth building, and you've protected yourself with smart tax planning. Okay? That is module 2. I'm going to see if there's any questions now in the chat. I have a 401k from a previous employer, about 70K. Contribute. Is there a way to maximize the return retirement with the existing money? I no longer contribute. Yes. I don't know the exact model there, but chances are, if it's with an employer, they might have restrictions in your 401k. So you might want to transfer that into a self-directed 401k or a Roth IRA that you can control. But I would definitely check with an accountant to see how you can do that without getting dinged with fees and paying for any capital gains or anything like that. So I know for sure there's definitely a way to do that, but I would definitely get with someone to make sure you're doing it the right way. Once it's in an account that you know for sure that you can start controlling the assets, then yeah, of course, you can treat it like a brokerage account and start investing it. But dude, 70K is a great start, because if conservatively you can make 2% a month on that, and I'm telling you, I know that sounds like, no, there's no way. I think you can definitely make 2% a month on this. You know, that's $1,400 a month in extra cash flow. That doesn't include the appreciation on the 70K, because it's not just going to be sitting. It's not just going to be sitting there not collecting interest. Between your brokerage account and having it in index funds, you'll also be making a return on the 70K, but you'll be using the value of your portfolio to create the $1,400 in cash flow on top of that. And that's if you're being conservative. If you want to be real aggressive, I'll teach you guys how to. You could be aggressive and make a lot more than $1,400 a month on that 70K. So that's a great start. I don't know who me is, but that's a great start. Easy, you're good. You didn't miss it. Is that 20K income from owning the shop or only behind the chair? No, that's only behind the chair, bro. That's only behind the chair. Like, I can show you right now. Let's see how some of our guys did last month. Some of these guys are coaches now, so they don't do this, but I'll show you guys. If you're in 6FB, and you're using Barber form, which is a tool that we give you included with 6FB, I really need to start promoting this better. I don't promote this enough because we give so much in this program. So you guys can see my main screen here. This is our leaderboard in 6FB booking. So this is how our barbers track all of their analytics, all their KPIs. And you guys can see for the previous month, look, this guy made $21,000 cutting hair. That's just cutting hair. Kevin did 15, Chase did 14, Jeremy did 13, 12. And this is that some of these guys have gotten complacent. They're doing great. I know for a fact, if you go into our Discord, there are dozens of barbers doing 20K or better. They just stopped tracking. So, yeah, this is just from cutting hair. And if that is possible with any profession, the same skill sets that I teach barbers to scale to that level is possible as a janitor. I'm not playing. I'm not kidding. It's possible as a janitor. All right, let's get back to questions. So right now, before reaching that income level to do the Fidelity options leverage investing, is it good to just invest in blue chips or the S&P, or should we? We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I'm just making sure, Easy, that you guys, I don't want you to do stuff now that you're going to have to fix later. So if you're going to start investing, you might as well open a brokerage account with the right company. You know, because I don't want you to start with Robinhood. You finally get to that 20K level. It's in Robinhood. Now you got to wait 2 weeks because you got to move everything over, right? What's up, Nate? Nate is one of the coaches at 6FB, man. He's one of the guys that I'm telling you make a high income and can build so much wealth. Shout out to Nate, by the way. He did a hell of a play, a real estate play that's paying off now. About, what was it, Nate? A year and a half later? Killed it with that real estate investment play. All right. So that was module 2, man. That's paying yourself first, and setting up your automated wealth building machine. All right, let's get back to the investing course, and let's go to module. I should probably put stock investing course. Perfect. And I should probably put a money bag or something. Yeah, there it is. Boom. Now it looks right. Okay, let's go to module 3. Build your base with index funds for long-term wealth. Easy. This is literally answering your question right here. Okay? We're going step by step, baby. I'm not going to leave no stone unturned. I gotcha. All right? So, module 3, build your base, index funds for the long term. So, first and foremost, what is compound interest? All right. Compound interest is when your investments earn returns and those returns start earning their own returns. Albert Einstein allegedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. The earlier and more consistent you invest, the more powerful compounding becomes over time. Investing $500 a month starting at 25, earning 10% average annual return, at age 65 would be 3.1 million. But if you wait until age 35, it'll only be 1.1 million. That's the power of compound interest. So the formula is time times consistency times returning rate equals wealth. Okay? So the earlier you are and the longer you stay in consistently times the return rate, because we're making smart investments. I'm going to show you how to make smart investments. That equals wealth. So how do we combat consistency? Paying yourself first, and put it and automating it. How do we keep time in the market? By making sure the main thing is making as much money as possible, living below our means, not having lifestyle creep, so that we can stay in the market for as long as possible. All right. It's when you start making six figures and you start getting sexy with it. Start buying the new car, the six-figure house, all this shit. Next thing you know, anytime there's an issue with the house, you need a new roof, you need a new AC, you need a new water heater. Guess what? You got to sell everything, and now you've eliminated your time in the market. That's why you don't build wealth. That's why the average American never builds wealth. All right. Now, I bet on America. There's a lot of reasons why I bet on America. And if you've been following my streams, I follow America. I don't just, look at charts and stuff. I'm following what's going on in our politics, in culture, current events, in our economy, because I am betting on America. I ain't going to bet on China. I ain't betting on Russia. I'm betting on America. All right. I know America better than I know any of these other countries. I've been to both. I've been to Russia. I've been to China. I haven't been to India yet, but I've been to almost all of the world powers, Europe, the UK, and I'm convinced America is the best bet. And a lot of other countries are too, okay? So this is why I invest in index funds, because VOO, all right, is the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. It tracks the top 500 US companies. All right. So it's an average of the top 500 companies' returns. And so the average annual return since its inception is about 12.5%. That's why we use the number 10% to be conservative. Okay. Let's go over to this screen again. All right. And let's go back to 20 years here. Whoops. What did I do? Let's go back to 20 here. And instead of 10, right, let's calculate this. So in 20 years, now let's go back to 15, because I can retire on 1.6 million just by selling options, to be honest. But let's say, because look, guys, after a certain amount of money monthly, your lifestyle doesn't I don't need much more. If you guys follow me, you know what I'm talking about. So anyways, let's go to 15 years, but instead of 10% return, let's do 12.5. Let's see if it'll let me do 12.5. Yeah. Okay. So remember, it was 1.6. Now it's pretty much $2 million. And this shows you how it compounds. The first year is kind of slow. Then it gets a little bit busier. And now it starts compounding. Look how it goes from 344,000 to boom, 100,000 earned, to boom, another 100,000, boom, 130,000, boom, 200,000. Holy smokes, 300,000. You see how that starts to compound and blow up? Okay. That's the difference between 10 and 12.5% returns. So we have to be smart when we invest. It's very important. All right. Can you guys see my screen okay? It might be a little bit too, I think this looks better, but I just want to make sure you guys are able to visually see my screen. Okay, so that's why I do the S&P 500, and it's stable. It's stable. You're when there's a downturn in the market, you're not going to get crushed the same way that if you were just in Nvidia or just in Tesla. So it's a good place to store the base of your wealth. All right. So we start with and if you guys seen my automation, out of the 1,000 a week I put into my brokerage, 400 of it goes into the S&P and to the into the QQQ and to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is the top 100 tech-focused companies. All right. Now, it's 10.7 since its inception, but the last 10 years, because this country is being led by tech. You look at AI. Remember, the US wasn't always a tech or innovative focused country. Remember that there was the industrialization of the, where we were doing manufacturing. Now we are more so innovation, tech, and services. And so if you look at the last 10 years, it's 17.5% is the returns from QQQ, because these are tech stocks. So between 12.5% and 17.5%, that's what I'm looking to earn. So maybe I'm earning 14% on average. I can tell you last year I earned 23% on my base. All right. On my base investments, I earned 23.5%. But this year, who knows? It might be negative 10%. But on average, in the lifespan, long term, I should be expecting these type of numbers in returns. I like to use the number 10% just to be conservative. Okay. This is your base. If you do not have 20,000 to be able to get to level 3 options in your brokerage account, all you're doing is investing in your base. Understood? That's it. You're just investing in your base. Because when you get to level 3 options, you'll be able to use margin to go and buy stock options. Okay? So this is why I bet on America. The US has outperformed global markets in the past decade. 8 of the top 10 most valuable companies in the world are American. And the dollar, the US dollar, is the global reserve currency. If you understand how currency works in this world, you understand how powerful this is. And if you watch my live streams, I've covered this a bunch of times. Okay? And what I do is I do a 50-50 split strategy. So if I do $500 a week, I'm doing $250 into VOO, $250 into QQQ. So if you're Don who's investing $250 a week, I might just take $125 of that and do $75 into VOO, $75 into QQQ. So I still have half of it that's going into my brokerage account. Later on, I can put into stock options. All right. So this is why it works. VOO gives you stability and broad market strength, and QQQ gives you upside potential from innovation. So even if there's no options plays, you'll still have exposure to the upside of the market. So like right now, if I show you my Fidelity account, let me show it to you guys. Guys, if you're learning anything, let's get some more fire emojis. If you're learning some stuff, let's get some more fire emojis. This is something that took me years, a decade to understand and learn, guys. Through books, through courses, through YouTube videos and classes and experience. Okay? So check this out. So if you can see my iPhone, is it too small for you guys to see as well? Let me know if it's too small or if you guys can see. So what I want you guys to see, if you notice, I have 2 puts that are open right now. Hood is at 70% return, 70% of my premium I've earned. HIMS is at 55% of the premium. Usually, like for example, the expiration date, this was a 40-day put expiration date. I still have a month left. I'm probably going to close this if it surpasses 70% in today. So I'll probably close that. But even if I don't have any options that are open, if you look down, I'm still making money because I got a 7% return from QQQ and I have a 4% return from VOO. So my base is always building wealth. It's always building wealth. This is why you need to invest in your base, because you don't want to be desperate and start buying options just for the sake of being in the market. You need to be conservative. But when I collect this, I don't like to take the premium right away and put it into the base. when I realize the gains, when I actually close, like let's say for example, this is at 70%. Actually, what I'll do is, because it's so close to 70%, I'm going to buy to close, and I'm going to set a limit of, let's put 0.44. So if it hits that today, see day, so I can put good till canceled or today. I'm going to put for just today. Okay, I'm going to preview. I'm going to place the order. So that means today, if it hits 44 cents, it's going to close it, which would be my 70% mark. Okay. So I'll close that and I'm going to pretty much take those profits. Oh, it closed it. It closed it. So I realized those gains. Those were straight profits. Did it live right here for you guys. Okay. That's beautiful. So now the only options that I have open is hymns that expires June 13th. I've already realized 55% of that premium. And so we'll see if this week I can close that out. And all I'll have is my base. But now what I took there was about $400. So now that I've realized those $400, I might want to buy $200 in QQQ and $200 in VOO. Okay. But right now it's a green market, so I'm going to wait till tomorrow, see if there's a red market, and then I'll buy some more QQQ and some more VOO. All right? Hopefully that's making sense. So, again, this is why. It's stable, right? And it has broad market strength for VOO, but I also do QQQ because there's a lot of upside potential because tech grows faster. So I get exposure to both. Now, depending on who you are, bro, if you're 19 years old, man, just put it in QQQ if you want to, or do 70-30 because you have so much time to live through the volatility. It's not a big deal. But if you got a lot of capital and you want to be a little bit more protected, I would put it into both. Okay. And so at a 10, if with these numbers at $250 a week, at $500 a week into index funds, in 10 years, your portfolio could be worth $550,000. And if you extended an extra few years, 3-4 years, you'd be a millionaire. Guys, and this is doing the bare minimum. What if we start putting more in? What if we do so good with our main gig? What if we increase our main business and we have extra money to put in? Could we turn this into a 5-year projection, a 6-year projection, a 7-year projection? And if we start learning options and we're printing with our options, could we do this even faster? I think 10 years is a great deal. Like if you're 30 years old, you could retire in 40 by the time you're in your 40s. Just doing the minimum. All right. And so you can use tools if you want to track all this stuff. I don't. My Fidelity account does. I know how to use my Fidelity account to track everything to see how I'm doing. But this is a great strategy that lets you sleep at night, guys. It's automated. You're not day trading. It allows you to focus on the things that matter, that really move the needles. And if you're done with your main thing, then you have even more time to actually live life. Okay. This is a great one. Do not invest money you need in the next 3 years. And dips are normal. Last month, there was a crazy dip. My portfolio went down by like 30%. This month, my portfolio has gone up by 60%. When there's dips, look, I teach this all the time. Let me show you guys. And if you're in the mentorship and you've been on all the lives, there was a live where I shared this as well because I know some of you guys are already investing and you were scared. Okay. This right here was all the way to number 4. It was in extreme fear. You know what I started doing? All right. I had about, I think, $10,000 that was not invested because I've been automating my investments, right? Another term for this, guys, by the way, is called dollar cost averaging. You're just buying weekly and you're dollar cost averaging, all right? And on my channel, I've already made a video covering dollar cost averaging versus lump sums and why you should do both, okay? So the idea of dollar cost averaging is, let's say it's dipping. Every week I'm buying. I might have bought here, I might have bought here, I might have bought here. There's no way to time the market because it could have easily skyrocketed here. Well, you're happy that you bought some here because you bought it cheap, and now you're going to ride the wave up. But what if it doesn't go up, right? What if it keeps going down? You're happy you bought here, you're happy you bought here, you're happy you bought here, and then finally it skyrockets. All of these buys, you now get to ride the profits up because it's almost impossible to time the market, guys. We can do our best, but it's very difficult. When I see extreme fear, Warren Buffett says it best. When people are fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. So now we're in greed. I'm fearful. That's why I started closing a lot of my options, and I have $50,000 in liquid capital in purchasing power that I can go and make investments later on. But I'm also okay with just dollar cost averaging. Every single week, I'm buying VOO QQQ right now, okay? So right now, the market's going up. The market's going up right now. And so I'm buying here, I'm buying here, I'm buying here, I'm buying here, and it might come crashing down. But I'm going to continue to buy here, and buy here. The whole point, though, is historically, let's take a look at the S&P 500. The whole point is, and let me zoom in here, is historically, guys, it goes up. It goes up. It goes up. And throughout this whole entire times, if we put options in, we can earn cash flow and we can make money. Regardless if the market is stagnant, is declining, or going up, you can make money with options. And we're going to show you how in just a bit. But if you just keep buying every week, you don't need to time the market long term. Look, if you started in 2016 and you just bought every single week, the S&P 500 was at 2,000. Today, it's at 6,000 almost. You would have tripled your money in 9 years. So if you put 200,000 in 9 years in there, you're a millionaire. I'm sorry, 300,000. You're pretty much a millionaire. You added some options on top, you're definitely a millionaire. Okay? So long term, you win with S&P 500 if you dollar cost average. Now, if we're in a bear market, the average bear market takes 1.5 to 3 years to recover. The average bear market. All right. Let's see when the last bear market was. Or historical. Let's look at historical bear markets. Bro, when there's a bear market, that's when I'm really doing overtime. I'm putting in overtime. I'm trying to make as much money as possible because that's when I want to pile money in there. Now, you have to be careful and understand macroeconomics and economics and understand politics because it could be a long bear market or it could be a short one. You have to decide how much, you have to take a look at it and see how much time there's left. I knew that the trade war crash that we just had or correction we just had nothing to do with our economy or with companies. Unemployment was low. Companies' earnings were great. Our GDP was growing. The only reason why the stock prices went down was because Donald Trump was tweeting shit and doing these trade wars. But I knew that was going to be short-lived. So I knew that bear market wasn't going to be a terrible one, right? Let's take a look at these historically, the bear markets, okay? You guys can see, obviously, this was the Great Depression. It lasted almost 3 years. That was the Great Depression, guys. 86% decline. if your main job or main business survived the Great Depression and you just kept dollar cost averaging, oh yeah, you were going to be a millionaire in 3 years. Oh yeah, 100%. Same thing here. This one lasted a year. Okay. Let's go back to like years that we can remember. I remember this one heavy. In 2007, 2009. Oh man, that's when I bought real estate. I wish I would have bought stocks. I didn't buy stocks. I didn't know anything about stocks at that time, but I knew about real estate, and I that's where I bought my first property, and I killed it with that one. 2020 COVID crash. I made some money during COVID on stocks and crypto, but I wasn't heavy in it because I was pouring all my money into my own businesses, and my businesses were printing. We made millions of dollars through my businesses during the pandemic. I'm so grateful that I did that. So I didn't really get a lot of exposure on the upside in the stock market here. I didn't stay in long term. But look, that was only a month. That crash was only a month. 2022 was when the Ukraine war started. And remember, they started increasing the interest rates like crazy because inflation was insane. That lasted 10 months. Okay. So anytime there's a correction, there's a dip, and you see this fear index down here, bro, that's a great time to buy. Because even if it's a Great Depression, okay, if you're going to stay at long term and you think you can keep your job, this is why it's also important to find jobs that and make money in a diversified way that won't be affected by pandemics and recessions and depressions. If you're a barber, you're in a good place. If you're in the medical field, you're in a great place. Trucking is a little iffy. Obviously, during trade wars, trucking jobs get affected, right? But yeah, that is building your base. I think we've nailed that down. Let's go ahead and see if there's any questions. Yeah, you need to learn options for sure. But first, you got to do module 1, module 2, and module 3. We're doing this in order. There's no real reason to rush it. Okay? All right, cool. Fire emojis are good, and confirmation that everything is sized perfectly. All right, guys, that is module 3. So let's go back to the stock investing course. We are now in module 4. We're going to assume that you finally hit that 20K threshold. Fidelity is going to allow you to create a level 3 options account. And this is your first wealth milestone. It's not your first, actually. I'm going to put your third. And the reason why is because I think your first is definitely increasing and making the most of your main thing, of the main gig. The second one would be actually starting the process and the system of paying yourself first automatically. And then this is the third wealth milestone, and that is getting to 20K in your brokerage account. All right, guys, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to get started on this in just All right, guys, I'm back. Thanks for the little break. Needed it. All right, let's get into it, man. Y'all ready? Can I get some fire emojis? Ready for module 4? Let's get into it. And a lot of this stuff, guys, is going to be a refresher for me. I just kind of do it now. I just kind of do my thing, and I invest where I can. So bear with me if I need refreshers myself. I don't claim to be, an expert by any means, but I'm willing to share what I know. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's get into it. I need some fire emojis, though. Yeah, they're here. Let's get it. Here we go. So, module 4. So, module 4, the goal is to hit $20,000. This is your third wealth milestone. And the reason why this is the magic number is for level 3 options approval. That was the number that Fidelity required as a minimum account size in order to get approved for this. I don't know other brokerages. I've seen some that say 25. I've seen some like Tasty Trade that'll do like 10 or something like this. But level 3 gives you the ability to sell naked puts and covered calls. This is foundational for strategies to generate consistent cash flow. This is where the game changes. Selling options turns your portfolio into income-generating asset. Like a lot of people think the only way to generate income is through dividends, right? Dividend stock investing. But no, you can generate income by selling options or selling covered calls. It's not just something you wait to grow. So with 20K, you can start generating weekly or monthly premiums, boosting your returns with proper risk management. Okay, here's an example. So selling one put on $100 stock, that's one contract. A put, look, there's two. Let me explain this to you guys. Where's my pencil? Oh, there we go. So there's puts and there's options. Okay. Actually, let me see if let's pull up a video that'll explain this because I'm not going to explain this as well as a video would that has visuals. Puts versus calls. Let's see if there's like a short video that we can watch here that'll explain it well. I think we can do an 8-minute video. Let's check it out. Let me see. And that's kind of boring. I'm looking for something really good. Looking for something amazing. Man, that's a long ass video. All right, I guess we'll go with this one.
Okay, first to demonstrate how call options work, I'm going to tell you a little story. And by the way, if calls and puts are old hat to you, then you've already got a leg up. So the method I'm going to teach you afterward will be even easier for you to apply with options. Okay, here we go. So Susie's selling her house for $500,000 in a neighborhood that has a nearby parcel of land that is for sale as well. There are two parties interested in the land. Peter plans to develop the land into a beautiful park and bird sanctuary. And Harry plans to build a low-cost housing development. Now, Sammy comes along and is interested in buying Susie's house for a cash deal, but he has a problem. He won't have the cash available for 3 months. So he's, of course, worried that the house will be sold to someone else in the meantime. So he decides to offer Susie $5,000, or the option premium, right now. if she'll take the house off the market and give him the option. This would
Guys, if any of you are familiar with wholesaling real estate, wholesaling houses, this is almost the same thing. But it's much easier. You don't have to call a bunch of people. You don't have to try to convince somebody to learn something that they don't know, they think is a scam. All of this can be done with click of buttons on your phone or on your laptop. It's literally that. Okay? So remember, if he was wholesaling this house, okay, he would be trying to get a contract with this lady, not to give her $500,000 for the house, but I'll give you $5,000 to give me the right to sell this house for $500,000. So I'm going to put the house under contract for $5,000, and then I'm going to go find an investor that'll give me the $500,000. Except what wholesalers do is he might sell this house for $550,000 and make a $50,000 profit on the $5,000 that he invested. Hopefully does that make sense to you guys? So that's what wholesaling real estate is. They're using this as an analogy to explain stock options. Let's continue.
This would be a call option to buy the house for $500,000, which is referred to as the strike price, anytime within the next 3 months, which is the expiration date. Now, if he does not elect to buy the house, Susie keeps the $5,000 premium and Sammy walks away from the deal. If he does elect to buy the house or exercise the option, Susie still gets to keep the $5,000 and he pays her $500,000 for the house. Now, 3 things could happen in this story. In scenario 1, Peter buys the nearby parcel of land. This, of course, will increase the value of Susie's home to, say, $600,000, in which case Sammy will be very happy to exercise his option to buy the house for $500,000. In scenario 2, Harry buys the nearby parcel of land. This, of course, will decrease the value of Susie's home to, say, $400,000, in which case Sammy will not exercise his option to buy at $500,000, and he'll just walk away from the deal having lost only $5,000. Then there's scenario 3, where neither party buys the nearby parcel of land. Susie's house is still worth $500,000, and Sammy can elect to exercise his option to buy the house for $500,000 or not and simply walk away from the deal, losing only $5,000. In effect, Sammy is controlling a $500,000 asset for 3 months for only $5,000. No matter what happens during that time, the most he can lose is $5,000. Susie, on the other hand, is happy to take the $5,000 as she had no guarantee anyone else would buy the house at her asking price, nor did she feel the nearby parcel of land would sell anytime soon. Here's a footnote to the story. Depending on the circumstances, if Susie felt she was likely to attract another buyer in the near term, she would have demanded more than $5,000 from Sammy to take the house off the market for 3 months. Likewise, with call options, the more the underlying asset is perceived to appreciate, the higher the premium demanded by the market for that call option. So now let's define this in trading terms and look at an actual example trade. A call option is a contract between 2 parties to exchange a stock at a strike price by a predetermined date. One party, the buyer of the call, has the right but not an obligation to buy the stock at the strike price by the future date, while the other party, the seller of the call, has the obligation to sell the stock to the buyer at the strike price if the buyer exercises the option. For example, if a stock is trading at $50 and you think it's going to go up to $60, you might buy a $55 call option for, say, 20 cents. If the stock rose to $60, that would allow you to buy the stock at $55 even though it's valued at $60, netting you a $4.80 profit on each share. On the other hand, the person that sold you the call would be obligated to sell you the stock at $55 at a loss of $4.80. If the stock never rises above $55 by expiration date, the call expires worthless, and the call buyer is out 20 cents and the call seller keeps the 20 cents. Okay, now let's look at how put options work.
Now, it might be confusing a bunch of you guys, but that's okay. That's normal. It took me a while to understand how this works. Okay, if you got to watch 100 freaking videos on the description of what these options are, different types of options are, do it. It's okay. That's totally normal. All right. But for the sake of continuing, I'm just going to keep playing the video. So now that's call options, what he was talking about. These are put options. So there's calls and there's puts.
Work by revisiting Susie and Sammy from our earlier story. Sammy owns a truck worth $40,000. He's concerned that his truck might be damaged in an accident or even stolen. So Sammy decides to buy a zero deductible insurance policy, or a put option.
Now, this is important to pay attention to because we're going to be selling insurance. That's how we're going to create cash flow. Okay? We're going to be selling put options, and essentially that's like selling another investor insurance. Okay? Because there's investors that, let's say they spent 100 grand on Tesla, but they're scared that the stock is going to fall. So they'll hedge their bet by buying insurance from another investor in case of that. We're going to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do it so that we can make consistent cash flow. Because the way insurance companies make money is they say, listen, I have 1,000 customers. Maybe 10% of them are going to actually have cars that break down that I got to go give them the money to fix. But the majority of them, their cars will not break down. So I'm going to be profitable at the end of the year. That's the same concept of what we're going to be doing. We're going to become the insurance company. All right, let's go.
On the truck.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be Geico or Allstate, right?
For the full amount of $40,000, which would be the strike price, from Susie's auto insurance company. Susie charges him $1,500.
Josue, we're gonna get there, but I gotta make sure I'm catering to everybody. We gotta catch everybody up.
That would be the option premium for a 1-year policy. 1 year being the expiration date. Now, 3 things could happen in this story. In the first scenario, Sammy's truck is not damaged or stolen during the year. So Susie keeps the $1,500 premium. Sammy's okay with losing the $1,500 for the protection it provided him for the year. In scenario 2, Sammy's truck is damaged in an accident, requiring $10,000 in repairs. He exercises his insurance policy, or his put option, by filing a claim, and Susie pays him $10,000 for the repairs as agreed. Sammy is happy he purchased protection for this possibility. In the third scenario, Sammy's truck is stolen. He exercises his insurance policy, which is his put option, and files a claim, but this time for the full replacement value of his truck. And Susie pays him the full amount of $40,000 to buy a new truck. Sammy, of course, is very happy he purchased protection for this possibility. In any case, Susie's happy because she sold many such insurance policies, different put options, to other drivers, most which never filed a claim or never exercised their options, providing her with a net profit overall. And here's a footnote to this story. If Sammy had a poor driving record, that's more a risk to Susie, so she would have charged him more than $1,500 for the 1-year insurance policy. On the other hand, if Sammy had an exemplary driving record, Susie could have charged him less, as the risk would be lower. Likewise, with put options, the higher the perceived risk, the higher the premium demanded by the market. Let's look again at a definition and a trading example. A put option, then, is a contract between two parties to exchange a stock, or an ETF, at a strike price by a predetermined date. One party, the buyer of the put, has the right but not an obligation to sell the stock at the strike price by the future date, while the other party, the seller of the put, has the obligation to buy the stock from the buyer at the strike price if the buyer exercises the option. For example, if a stock is trading at $50 and you think it's going to go down to $40, you might buy a $45 put option for, say, 20 cents. If the stock dropped to $40, that would allow you to sell the stock at $45 even though it's valued at $40, netting you a $4.80 profit on each share. On the other hand, the person that sold you the put would be obligated to buy the stock from you at $45 at a loss of $4.80. If the stock never drops below $45 by expiration date, the put expires worthless and the put buyer is out 20 cents and the put seller keeps the 20 cents. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. For more
Cool. And like I said, if you need more explanation than that, just keep YouTube, keep studying, ask ChatGPT. It'll help you understand how those works. What are call options? What are put options? You can buy and sell call options. You can buy and sell put options. All right. But for the sake of my strategy, I want to show you guys an example here. All right. So first and foremost, you need to know that one contract equals 100 shares. So if you're selling one put, which we'll be doing, that's selling insurance, then, and it's $100 stock, okay, or $100 strike price, you have to multiply that by 100, which means in order to, if you get assigned this, there, your brokerage account is going to want 100 times 100. They're going to want $10,000 in cash collateral. This is why you need 20K, because 20K gives you room to run 2 puts or ladder into trades while still staying diversified. Okay. So you'll be able to do 2 puts, you'll be able to have 2 puts open at once with 20K. This is why Fidelity makes you start with 20K. Okay? Because they want to make sure you have the collateral in your brokerage account that if this doesn't go your way, that you have the 20K or the 20K, the collateral to cover it. Okay? So let's break it down. Your weekly contributions, let's say it's $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. Okay? Add compounding returns of 8 to 10% because of your base, right? And you'll cross 20K in 9 to 12 months if you stay consistent. If you want this to be faster, then you need to make this number higher. It's that simple, okay? So to get there faster, we're going to increase our income. We're going to reduce our lifestyle inflation so that we can lock in even more weekly auto transfers, all right? Windfalls like bonuses, tax refunds, side hustle cash. Bro, let's do that stuff to spike our account when it makes sense. And then we're going to track our portfolio weekly to stay motivated. We're not cashing out. We're compounding. We're building our wealth, okay? I want you guys to avoid fear of missing out. There's plenty of opportunity. You can always make money, regardless if it's a stagnant market, a declining market, or a bullish market. You can always make money. We're in this for the long term. There's no rush. Just make sure you're doing it right, because I don't want you getting in too early, and that's the reason why it's going to derail your compounding journey. Okay? Premature options trading without collateral is highly risky. They'll shut your account down. Chasing gains leads to emotional decisions and poor risk control. Okay? You have to stick to the system, and then you're going to celebrate small wins. Every 5K milestone is amazing. It's a victory, right? But once you build that 20K foundation, it gives you the foundation for options, and you can be strategic, and bro, that's a win-win. All right? So again, the fast track is weekly auto invest, extra lump sums, track your progress, avoid derailers. We got to apply for level 3. Once you have the 20K in there, we apply for level 3, and now we're ready to start selling puts. You guys ready to get into selling puts? All right, that's module 4, getting to that 20K. Let's get into selling puts next. All right, module 5, guys. We're pretty much halfway through this course. We're not doing bad. We're not doing bad at all. How long have I been live? Damn, 2 hours almost. All right, so module 5. Hopefully I can do this before my kids get home from school. Module 5, cash flow from options, sell puts like a pro. This is where it starts to get fun, Josue. So we are going to focus for now only on selling puts, all right? So we're going to simplify this. Again, options are contracts that give you the right but not the obligation to buy or sell a stock at a specific price. We focus only on selling puts, not buying options. We will focus on another strategy as a backup in case this doesn't work, our initial strategy doesn't work out. Because when you sell puts, and let's say you don't get to your strike price, then you're going to be assigned shares. And we'll explain that in just a bit. The reason why we only sell puts is because you get to collect a premium up front. All right? So, and I'll break that down in just a bit. You get paid to buy stock you already wanted at a discount. It is important, guys, that we only sell puts on companies that we like. And I'm going to show you guys how to find great companies. I'm going to show you how to read financials, how to evaluate a company, and how to know that that's a great company to invest in. All right. So we're not buying individual stocks, but we will buy them if we get assigned those stocks when we're selling puts. Okay. So we're going to get paid to potentially buy the stock we already wanted at a discount. It's a win-win. Think of it as being the house in a casino instead of being the gambler. People say all the time, oh, options is gambling. No, not if you're sitting on the other side of the transaction. You get to be the casino. All right. So what is a naked put and why does it pay you? A naked put is when you sell a put option without owning the stock yet, but you have the cash ready to buy if you are assigned. All right. So how it works, you sell a put at strike price. You sell a put at a strike price that you're willing to buy the stock at. You get paid upfront the premium, just like selling insurance. If the stock drops below the strike, you're assigned the shares. So here's an example. Let's say the stock is worth $105. Right now, we go to the stock market. Let me see. I'm going to use a real example for you guys, because I wish somebody would have done this for me when I was learning. Give me a second here. What's a good stock? Let's go with SoFi. All right. So we're going to SoFi here. And on the top right corner here, I'm going to click on the options chain. You guys can see it's already preset, puts and sell. Okay. Now, if we come down here, let's just go here. We scroll down. We know that this stock is priced at $14. So the stock in this example is $105, but SoFi is $14. I'm going to put $14.23. All right. The strike price that we choose is up to you, but let's just say it's $14 and we're going to choose the $12.50 strike price for whatever reason. The premium of the $12.50 strike price is 22 cents. Do you guys see that? It's 22 cents a share. 22 cents a share times 100, because remember, one contract is 100 shares. That would mean, let's click on it. If I go to one quantity, and let's just put market for now, that means I'm going to get paid $21 immediately if I do this trade. All right. And in the course, I have it typed here. So the stock price is right now is valued at $14. The strike we chose is $12.50. The premium is 22 cents a share. Okay. $22. So I'm going to get paid $21 in premium. That's what somebody's going to pay me in insurance for one contract. But that's not enough for me. So I'm probably going to do like 30 contracts. And now my premium, now somebody's going to pay me $640 for this premium. Okay. If I do this trade, I will get the $640 up front. Up front. Okay. So let me put, in this example, it's $22 up front. All right. But remember, I decided to do 30 contracts, and that equals $640. So, if the stock stays above $12.50, okay, I get to keep the $640. All right. If the stock drops below $12.50, I have to buy 100 shares at my strike price, which is $12.50. But my cost basis is really $12.50 minus 22 cents because I already collected the premium up front. Remember? So this is $12.28. Hopefully I didn't lose you. Okay? Because remember, when we sold these contracts, when we sold these puts, okay, we collected the 22 cents a share up front. Hopefully I'm not confusing you guys. I know it's a lot. Trying to be as descriptive as possible. All right. Cool. All right. That sounds right. Okay. So you either get paid or you get a great company at a discount because we are only buying companies that we love. So what we're saying is if we can buy SoFi at $12.50 after looking at the financials and being informed on how good that company is, we're happy either way because either we got paid for insurance or we got paid and we got a great company at a discount. It's a win-win situation long term. This is why you don't sell options, you don't sell puts on shitty companies. Then you get screwed. Here's the difference though. When you sell options on shitty companies, you make more per contract. So a shitty company might pay me $1,200 versus $640. But we are trying to manage risk. We're trying to do this long term and we're trying to win. So we don't do that. Okay? So you only sell puts on companies you'd be happy to hold long term that have proven growth and cash flow. And I'm going to show you guys how to prove it. That have fair or undervalued based on metrics like PE ratios. I'm going to teach you how to do that. That are a durable brand that have moats and economic advantage. I'll teach you that. This isn't gambling. It's a strategic ownership. If you don't want to own the stock, don't sell the put. Okay? Now, margin accounts and how to use them without fear. This is why we're doing level 3 options because we want a margin account. We're going to use leverage. But we're going to use leverage after we know we make good money. That's why module 1 was your gig, your job is the most important thing here. All right. So we need margin so that we can sell naked puts. You need a margin account. Even if you don't use borrowed money, you still need a margin account to sell puts. Margin isn't dangerous if you keep 100% of the cash collateral in your account. You only sell puts on high quality stocks and you never go beyond your buying power. And we'll teach you guys how to look at that as well on Fidelity. Margin gives you speed and access, not risk, unless you overextend. Think of it like a permission slip, not a credit card. Okay? How to reinvest the premium into your base portfolio. So remember, you collect the premium up front. Now, some people would take the premium and collect it up front and immediately go reinvest it into their base. So remember, in module 2 and module 3, we talked about your base. Okay? So this is what it looks like. You have your main income, however it is that you make that. Okay? It goes into your brokerage, into your base. That base is VOO and QQQ. Okay? From there, you're going to take margin and you're going to start selling puts. The premium that you collect, okay, is going to be reinvested into your base. So you're double dipping on returns. And it's just a cycle that you're going to continue doing. You're going to dollar cost average, and you're going to invest the premiums into your base, because long term, this is your wealth builder. Now, some people will do it right away as soon as they collect their premium. I like to do realized premiums. Okay? So not until I close my position, or buy to close is what they call it, or buy to close, I'm not going to reinvest the premium until I buy to close. That's just my way of doing it. It's not necessary, because there's ways to make sure you're profitable no matter, long term, no matter what. But I just like to like to have real money that's invested, realized gains that's reinvested into my base. Okay? So you reinvest into your base. I don't put and, I put and, or, I don't put or, I put and. So I'm going to put and or, use it to dollar cost average into stocks you already love. No, I'm going to put, you could do or. I just do the base portfolio. I'm not doing it into stocks that I already love. I'm going to sell puts on stocks that I already love. Okay? So this creates the flywheel. And that's what this is. This is the flywheel right here. This is the flywheel that we're going to create. Isn't it genius? Okay? And this, I learned this, guys, from like 10 different courses. Invest with Brandon. There's another guy who I really like. I forget his name. He's a Jewish guy. Amazing. Another one is the Swedish Investor. Another one is Carlton, who I use his Qualtrim software that I'll show you guys in just a bit. But I did the Meet Kevin investing courses. I read books like The Snowball, The Dondo, so many books on this stuff. This is 10 years of research, guys. So anyways, so the flywheel is you sell puts, you collect the cash, you reinvest into your base portfolio, you increase your buying power, because as this grows right here, guess what also grows? Your margin and your buying power, which allows you to sell more puts. So instead of only being able to have like 2 puts open, now you might be able to have 4 and then 6. Right now, like there was one point where I had 8 puts open at once. I had HIMS, I had puts sold on HIMS, on Robinhood, on SoFi, on Tesla, on NVIDIA, on TMSC or TMC, I can't remember, the Taiwan semiconductor, TSM. And who else did I have? I had Palantir, and I forget the last one I had, but I had 8 options sold, puts sold at once, because I grew my buying power. All right. And then you can track it on your own. There's spreadsheets and stuff that you can use. You can use Notion, ask ChatGPT to create something for you. But I just use Fidelity. I just use my app and my dashboard on my desktop to track everything. So again, here's the options cash flow checklist. You need to open a margin account, level 3 approval. You need 20K funded, and identify companies that you love. I'm going to teach you guys how to identify those. You're going to use Fidelity or another brokerage that you like to sell cash secured puts or naked puts. You're going to reinvest the premiums weekly into your base, and then you're going to track the results. Okay. I can show you the results for the last, for this month so far. This is my results for this month so far. So you guys can see here, this is this month. All right. This was TSM, Taiwan's semiconductor company. I locked in 256. These are realized gains. You guys can see here. These are closed positions. Okay, for this month so far. and I got to look to get into some more. I just haven't yet, but I'm going to get, I still have a whole 2 weeks left of this month that I can make money on. Okay. So the first one I locked in premium in was $256 with TSM, $568 with Tesla, $728 with SoFi, $545 with SoFi again. Shopify was another one, $653. I did have puts sold. I was testing it with indexes, but it's just too expensive for the size of my portfolio. I'll probably do more puts sold on indexes when I have more money in my account. But for now, I'm not going to do that anymore. Palantir, I made $400. NVIDIA was a long-term put that I was testing for like 2 years out. I decided to close that so that I can take that capital and put it into other opportunities because everything's an opportunity cost. NVIDIA, I made $366 on. MSTY was more so a dividend yield max fund. That's not my style. That's not my strategy. I got excited because I was watching some YouTube videos. I decided to get out of that. It's too risky. I like my strategy. I'm sticking with it. Robinhood, I made $389. Robinhood again, I made $646. And HIMS, I made $576. So for this month so far, and guys, remember, I started with $20,000, I think, in March. All right. Now this account's at $40,000. And this is for this month so far alone. Okay. So there's been some that I had to close early that weren't making money that I was like, man, if I can break even, I'm getting out of it. And I did. This was another one. No, VTI was just a index that I accidentally bought. But this is proof that, you know, this is the strategy that I'm using for this month so far. This is how we're looking. A lot of people won't show you that type of stuff, right? And again, my wealth is not in the stock market yet. It's in companies that I own. And you can look up my companies, tomb45.com, pieaccounting.com, floridafinestcustoms.com, 6fbmentorship.com. All of these are 7-figure companies. So I invest into my businesses first, and then we do the other stuff. I also own $4 million in real estate that I've bought in the last few years. And all of that is documented. I vlogged it on my main channel. If you're in my mentorship, the 6-figure Barber mentorship, you've seen me on the phone, closing the deals, sharing the contracts, everything. So I am not one of those guys that is just selling a course to people and making money. I do this shit full time, and I'm just sharing the stuff that I've learned throughout the years. So take it for what it is. Easy. We're not buying calls. We're selling puts. I'm not betting. I want to be the casino. So if you want to go do a different strategy, go learn it. But that's not what I'm doing. I don't like that strategy. And I don't like the decay. I don't like decay of buying calls. I don't like that shit. I like decay to work in my favor. So that's why I sell puts. Okay. So that is module 5. But that's not module 5. I'm sorry. That was premature. Let me show you guys what I'm looking for when I'm making a decision to get into a contract. Okay, you guys ready? I need some thumbs ups. I need some fire emojis. I need some energy. I'm here by myself. It's quiet in here. It's boring. My dog left. She went to the room, taking a nap or something. All right, I'm going to show you guys this formula real quick. These are my requirements when I'm looking at. I'll show you my requirements when I'm looking for an option, a good stock to sell puts on. Or when I think a put is a good purchase, I should say. Let's do Palantir. Yeah, we're getting some energy in here. Let me show you guys what I'm looking for. Hold on. Make sure this looks good. All right. All right. So the first requirement, if I'm going to all right. So the first requirement is to find a great company. Okay? Great company with a lot of action. Great company, or I should say, a lot of volume. Okay? With a lot of volume. If it is a company with very low volume, chances are you're not gonna be like, you're gonna have issues with getting out of the position. And it's probably just not gonna be, it's not gonna meet the numbers that you're looking for in order to make a decision to get into that. So we're looking for a great company that has volume. All right. Now, a great company, I'm gonna teach you guys later how to identify a great company in the next, I think it's the next module. Okay. But as far as volume, you want, hold on, I need to explain this a little bit easier. Oh, I don't know why it's not showing up on my phone. Oh, never mind. I got it. Okay. So here we go. I found it. All right. So if you look at right here, you guys can see VOL on this column. You'll be able to see how much volume something has, right? The lower the volume, the less people that are on the other side of the trade. You want a lot of volume so that you know you can get in and out of this trade, okay? So great company is number one, and it has to have volume is number two. 1, 2. All right. Number three is we are looking for a delta of 0.2. Okay? A delta of 0.2. Let me show you what that looks like. So a delta is the odds that you will get assigned this contract, which means you have a 20% chance of losing this trade, and you have an 80% chance of winning this trade, okay? Notice I say around. The higher, okay, that would be a 70% chance of winning. The higher it is, the more risky it is, which means you collect more premium. So for example, on a 0.2, they might pay you $600, but on a 0.3, you might get paid $800. So that just really depends on the conviction that you have. 80% to me is conservative and is the sweet spot. If you want to go higher, like 0.19 or 0.18, that's fine too. What I would do from here is see what kind of premium you're looking at. Because if you're going to take the extra risk, you better be making a lot more money. And if you're going to take the extra risk, is because you have a lot of conviction that this trade's going to go your way. Or you don't care if you get assigned the contract because you're okay with buying that stock at that price. Some people will literally go for the higher premium because they want to be assigned the stock. They just want to get paid to buy the stock at a discount. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So we're looking for a 0.2 delta. How does that look? Well, if we go to the app and we go back to the options chain, remember, this is how you go to the options chain. You just look up the stock. This is Palantir. There's a chain at the very top right. Click on the chain. You want to go puts and you want to go sell. We're not buying puts, we're selling puts. We're not buying insurance, we're selling insurance. And I like, this is key, 30 to 45 days out. The reason why I like that is because it's easier for me to track it. I'm trying to earn a 2 to 3% return every month. Okay? So it's easier to track this way. The other reason why is because there's a thing called decay. You can learn that later on, guys. Go YouTube it, go Google. What is decay in options? This works in your favor when you're selling puts. So the closer it gets to the expiration date, the more the value of the, even if, let's say that your strike price, let's use a real example. Let's say the strike price in this particular one, where am I at? So Palantir is $129, all right? If you guys see my screen, $129.71. Let's say I'm going to go to the delta, see the delta? And I'm looking for a 0.2. So the 0.2 is going to be the 115 strike price or the 116. I have a lot of conviction, but it's a bullish market. Everything went up like crazy. So I'm going to go with the 0.19. I'm going to write both of these down. Okay? The strike price of 115 is going to give me, let's scroll over to the side, a $2.28 premium, where the 116, which is more risky, is going to give me a $2.47 premium. You see the difference there? All right. We have to decide which one is worth it to us. Now, the closer that we get to the expiration date, which is 30 to 45 days out, the closer you get, like, for example, if let's say you're going to collect $600 in premium, you might have 80% 15 days in because of what's called decay. So if you're still not sure with that, just Google it, watch a YouTube video on it. Trust me, it's, do your thing with that. So again, let me just clean this up because it looks pretty confusing to me. And then we're going to go into questions, guys. Let's just erase all this. Okay. So remember, our magic number is 0.2. When we went over, what the hell am I doing? Is 0.2. When we went to 0.2, remember, 0.2 is $115 strike price. The premium I'll collect, let's do it this way to make it easier for you guys. We're going to go strike price. We're going to go premium. And we're going to go delta. All right. And we're going to go the stock price. If we go back to our course, okay? If we go back to our course and we go back to, was it this one? No. Maybe it was module 5. Yeah. All right. So remember, this was the example that we gave. That was SoFi. So this is a real example, okay? And we know that the stock price, as shown on my phone, if we go down, the stock price is $129. Whoops. $129.71. Okay? We know this, the delta that we're looking for, remember, is a 0.2. So I'm going to scroll over to where it says delta, and I'm going to look for a 0.2. Oh, here we go. So 0.2 we know is the 115 strike price and the 116. So 115, the 115 strike price has a delta of, let's scroll back over. Sorry, there you go. 0.19, and the 116 has a delta of 0.21. So this one has a 81% chance of winning. This one has a 79% chance of winning. Okay? Winning odds. Now let's go look at the premium. And the premium at the 115 is $2.28. Remember, there's 100 shares in one contract, so this would be times 100. The premium for the 116 would be $2.47. Remember, there's 100 contracts in one put, so that would be times 100. So these are all of our numbers. Now, what do we do with these numbers? Remember, number 4 is we want a 2 to 3% return. If you can do better, let me do this. Plus return, okay? How do we calculate what our return is? This is the math, okay? Pay attention, this is the math. It's going to be 100, because there's 100 shares in a contract, divided by the strike price, multiplied by the premium. There's your formula. All right? So let's do the math here. Our strike price for the 115 is so we're going to do 100 divided by the strike price of 115 times the premium. The premium's 2.28. Our return is 1.98. Does that meet our criteria of 2 to 3%? Kind of, yeah. It's not quite there, but you know, if you're off by 0.02%, you can go with that number if you wanted to. But if you have conviction, then let's try the 116 strike price. That's 100 divided by 116 times the premium, which, again, 100 divided by 116 times the premium, okay, times 2.47 That's 2.1% return. I'll probably, if I'm going to buy this put, if I'm going to sell this put, I'm probably going to go with the 116 strike price. And honestly, if I have a lot of conviction in the trade, I might go higher than that. I might go for a 117 or 118. Or if I want to be assigned the shares, then I'll go even higher. If I think it's a good price for this stock. If I think Palantir is worth $130 right now, I'm okay with paying 116. Okay? That's if I think it's undervalued. But we have to learn, the next steps are we have to learn what makes a great company and what makes a company undervalued. We're going to have to learn that. Okay? Let's see if there's any questions. I know that was a lot. Josue said, I need to get my income up first. Thanks. About to get LTB set up first, whatnot, and make sure the money machine rolling. Let's go, Josue. Get it, boss. Taking me back to college. Took business administration in college and never learned nothing like this. When you say module, you speaking of the school program, correct? No, so I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to put the link to this page right here. I'll put the link in the description of the clipped video so that you guys can follow with this course that I made for you guys. Shout out to ChatGPT for helping me with the course. One of the things that I love doing is talking to ChatGPT, and then it kind of organizes my thoughts. It's just so much more productive. That's why I think our GDP globally is going to increase like crazy, especially in places that are AI driven like China and like America. You know, the GDP in both of those countries, because of productivity that's going to be created from AI and automation, it's insane. It's insane. You still need this. You still need the brain. But man, yeah, I go live every day, Carlos. I go live every day on this channel. So guys, that was module 5, and we've been live now for a while. I want to show you guys what we're going to cover tomorrow. You guys got plenty of information to study. If there's anything that you have questions on, please comment below or go search it, ChatGPT it. Go be intentional about your learning. I talk about brain rot all the time. Brain rot comes from just literally just going to your For You page or or depending on, you know, these social media platforms, algorithms, they're feeding you your dopamine. And sometimes that's not productive for you. That's not valuable. That's where brain rot is created. But if you're intentional with your learning because you're going through this program and you have questions and then you go search it, you watch a YouTube video on your question, that is not brain rot. That's intentional learning. And so you have 5 modules right now that we went over. But tomorrow we're going to go over these modules. Whoops. We're going to go over module 6, what to do when you're assigned a contract. When you get this, let's say it doesn't go your way, right? We showed you guys how this has an 80% of chance and a 79% chance of winning. But there's still a 20% chance of you losing. What do you do 20% of the time? We have to walk through that, okay? Number 7, how to value a company. Like, this is all fine and dandy, but if you don't know what a great company looks like, you can't even get started with investing in options. You can get started now with investing with the base, the index funds, QQQ, VOO, right? You can get started with that right now. You can get started with opening your brokerage account, setting up your automated machine, okay? But when it comes to stock options, till you learn how to analyze and value a company, don't do it. Okay? Then we need to show you how to, that's how to analyze a company. The next one is how to value a company. Okay? Because we need to know if the company's overvalued or undervalued. That way we can make a decision which strike price we're going to choose. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to use a filter and what filters to put to eliminate 95% of the companies out there. So you're looking at the 5% that matters. Okay. Now, there's value investing, and I'm going to show you guys how to value a company based on that. But I'm also going to show you how to value a company based on growth, because tech companies, you can't value the same way that you value your typical companies, the way that Warren Buffett does. Okay. Then we're going to go into bonus rounds, like how to read a company's balance sheet and tax strategy for investors, which is very important because once you start making money, it's going to be the biggest expense of your life. That's all coming tomorrow on tomorrow's live stream. All right, guys, all of these will be clipped and will go on my main channel. But if you want to be here for the live sessions, definitely check out my live channel. It's BossioLIVE. And then my main channel is Chris Bossio. All right, let's see if there's any questions here. Yep, I'll be going live tomorrow. You're missing hella videos. It's all right. They're going to be clipped. And this live stream will be saved too. When did you start this module? You've missed the update in school. Dope knowledge. I shared it this morning in our Q&A call. This was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. And if you guys got questions in the mentorship, you know, I'll also probably post this course in 6FB so you guys can access it there pretty easily as well. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I might be back on later for just current events because this was all investing and stuff, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I got to catch up on what's going on in the world. I'll see you guys tomorrow.